Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and last night, after the standard 12 years of interval act, Romania finally chose their song for Eurovision, and just, wow. I'm not sure how to feel, because Romania, as I said, they love their interval acts, they love their padding, it's quite a marathon to watch their national selection, which is, quite creatively enough, titled National Selection. Did the BBC come up with that name, or what? Yeah, it kind of took a while for them to announce the top six. They started with 6th place and then waited ages, announced 5th place and so on and so on. Then they got to the top 2 and the entire internet had decided that they'd picked the winner even though they hadn't. I mean, it was fairly obvious who had won because the eventual winner was leading the televote pretty much throughout. But they didn't announce who had won and the internet was still like, oh no, it's so-and-so who's won. And then eventually they did confirm that yes, the winner was Ovidiu Anton and the song Moment of Silence, which is in English, I think all of the national finalists were off the top of my head. As usual, no translation needed from me. On paper, I would be surprised that Mihai, however you pronounce his surname, didn't win, but in practice, yeah, that song deserved to come 5th in the selection, and this was, I think, a worthy winner of a not very, not the strongest bunch compared to what it could be this year, but let's just begin, as we usually do, with my opening thoughts. Now, one thing that came to me with this song, admittedly not upon very first listening, but around the 2nd or 3rd time, so that's near enough first impression, this is absolutely not what he's going for, but you could theoretically interpret the song like this, with the us he's singing about being Eurovision artists and songs, and the them being anyone who can vote for them, be they members of the public or the juries or whatever. One could probably write like a college-level English literature essay on the subject, like analysing the implications of taking that interpretation. I mean, it makes sense. Take a moment of silence, meaning something along the lines of shut up, listen to the music, think about it, rather than just having a knee-jerk reaction, and watching the days go by, nothing changed, nothing new. As Eurovision artists, they kind of have to perform the same song over and over and over again to make sure that they can perform it right, and then even after the contest's over, because for the moment, that's the song that artist is known for, and so they have to stick with it. It's kind of become their identity, and still the outside world judges them for it or whatever. You get the idea. As I said, it's absolutely not what he wrote the song about, but I mean, the parallels are there. It's an interesting thought experiment. Now, slightly more concrete points that I can make, though. It's impressively dramatic, with or without the live staging, and it's pretty standard Eurovision fare. Even though you might not think it upon first listening, trust me, it fits right in. I saw someone in the Twitter feed next to the live stream saying that, oh, I thought we left this genre of song back in 2008, but I mean, it fits in with Eurovision, so I don't have a problem with it. So what does this song do well then? The first thing that I absolutely have to praise in this one is that at the end, it does have an eponymous moment of silence, but it's punctuated by 2 drum beats, so it's not completely silent, so first of all, he's not going to lose the rhythm of the song at that point, and also the audience isn't going to think that the song just cuts out, that the song has some sort of weak ending that then turns out to be a false ending. No, it doesn't do that. You can still tell that the song is still going. And, judging by the national final performance, he's got choreography for that part planned, and it works. I just demonstrated that. It works really well. Speaking of the live performance, his live vocals are brilliant, and as powerful as a song like this demands in order to properly convince the audience. Helped, of course, by the fact that he believes in his song, he believes every word he's singing, and that's good, that is very good, that's always a good sign when it comes to a live performance at Eurovision. One other thing that I particularly like about this one is that the second time and subsequent times you hear the refrain, there's more to it. There are more lines. There might be a full version of this song that's like 3.5 minutes long where he sings the full refrain the first time as well, but honestly, it makes the narrative flow of the song feel better the way it is now, where he sings a short version of the refrain the first time, and then subsequent times he adds more to it. So, much like a couple of other songs this year, the song builds upon itself, and as a result, the song doesn't feel like it stagnates at any point, which is good, because I can imagine some people having a slight prejudice against his image and style, and so this gives it some more plus points. It's stuff that the song does right, basically. But you cannot have light without darkness, and so what are the bad points about this one? Well, for one, there's what I just said. Some people, typically the type of people who really love music like Russia's entry, but that's a sweeping generalization and doesn't necessarily apply. They won't like this song just on principle. They'll just look at his visual style, they'll think of the genre of music now, and they'll just be like, nope, not interested, even though they haven't even heard the song. Despite the fact that it's a comparative Eurovision staple, like I said. Because there are some horribly judgmental people out there, and they do make up, 70% of the fandom. Having said that, though, there is a slight me thing that I have a problem with regarding the style of music. In interviews and the like, Ovidiu keeps referring to the song as rock, and no, by my definitions, this isn't even close to a rock song. If you want rock, look in the directions of Georgia, Cyprus, and Montenegro this year, or, in the direction of established rock artists. Even this year alone, we've got 3 completely different styles that are distinctly rock songs, but they're all much rockier than this. That doesn't make it a bad song, though. It's just, it bothers me slightly that it keeps being misclassified like that. The only other issue I can pick up on, and this is a more general point, don't worry, it's less of a me thing, is that on the line, take a moment of silence. The note on the first syllable of silence is so easy to mess up live, because it's higher than the rest, but by a fair margin. So, if he does mess it up, it will make his voice sound comparatively weaker. I've made this point about other songs this year as well, so it's not just this one that has that issue by any means. It's just that the note is, as I said, a little out of the way compared to its neighbours, making it a little trickier to hit in the moment. Ovidiu managed to nail it in the national final, so I don't think he'll have any trouble with it in Stockholm, but it is still a potential problem for him to think about. But it works in the context of the song, so if he can make it work live, and he can, then I'm sure it'll go well for him. Now, how many points will I give this out of 10? Honestly, I don't know how to feel about this one. If you're not in the right mood, it might sound a little bit bland. But if you're in absolutely the right mood for this song, then he's singing everything you want to hear. So, on one hand, it's kind of meh if you're not feeling it, but if you are feeling it, then you're really feeling it. Question mark. It's not mind-blowing enough for me to give it 9, I don't think. But it's definitely more solid than a 7. I suppose that means this can only really be an 8 out of 10 then. It's a good song if you're willing to invest in it, and if you're not, it is easy to overlook. But no matter how you feel about it, it is still a good, solid song, whether you want to give it the time of day or not, and a lot of people won't want to. Which, it's their loss, I suppose, because it is a good song. Now, how does it compare to last year? Well, I know that for some people, last year's Romanian song was a brilliant offering, and it struck emotional chords, and it hit close to home, or not so close to home, as the case may be. That was a kind of poor taste joke. The song was about going to work in another country and leaving your children behind, and so that's the joke there, and now I feel bad about trying to be funny about it. While I get that it was pretty, and it was emotional, and it was very relevant at the time, and it probably still is now, it didn't engage me as much as Moment of Silence does. And I recognise that might be something of a shortcoming on my part, since Della Caput was so deep, and this is comparatively superficial. Perhaps just because it doesn't deal with real-world issues directly, and it's designed more with entertainment in mind, but, well, Ovidiu's song is designed more with entertainment in mind. Voltage's song was pretty, and conscious, and emotional, but for people who don't know just how real-world relevant it was, it might just seem as comparatively fictitious or parable-like as Moment of Silence is. And so in those terms, Moment of Silence is just better at entertaining a crowd. It might not be as important of a song, it might not be as conscious or as relevant or anything like that, but I'm ruling that it's better at getting a response from an audience, and if you don't know the background of Della Caput, then you might not engage with it as much, whereas with this, there is no background to get. If you engage with it, you engage with it. So that's not to say that Della Caput was bad, of course, it's just, the word I keep coming back to is this song is more engaging, and that's pretty important. But having said all that, do I think it'll make it to the final? Well, given Ovidiu's stage presence and the aforementioned affinity with, here's that word again, engaging the audience, I'd say this one will probably get slightly better than average points from the public, and around middle of the table points from the jury, because it's not the strongest, and it's not a comparatively strong entry for what it's up against, but it's still there, it's still going to make an impression. I don't think it's Romania's weakest ever entry by any means, but it wouldn't surprise me to see this fail to qualify, which would be a bit of a shame, because it's by no means bad, it's just, as I said, up against some much stronger songs from other countries. This is a very strong year, despite what people on Facebook will want to tell you. So I'll say that it probably will qualify because Romania has never missed a final to date, but I won't be overly surprised if this is the year that trend changes. Final or not, I don't think it will threaten the top 5, but this is Eurovision. Literally anything could happen. He could perform the song and then one of his backing dancers could turn into a chicken. It's Eurovision. Anything can happen. So I will say, good luck Romania, you're sticking out from the crowd as you normally do, and we'll see if that serves you well in Stockholm. We'll see you there and then.